All right, hi everybody. My name is Alex Bertsch, and I own Epic by Nature Farm, small local urban farm. This is actually my first time ever doing a presentation like this, so thank you all for coming out and watching. On my farm, I specialize in growing microgreens and salad greens for area farmers markets and the local community. And, I get the question, where do you get your passion and inspiration from? I get that question a lot. And up until now, I was really never able to answer that question. And it comes from the fact that 23.5 million people live in a food desert in this country. And you know that 1.6 million of those people actually live in Minnesota. My passion comes from connecting people to their food and to their health, and connecting people to wholesome, nutrient-dense food. Do you know that Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food"? This is where I get my inspiration from. So today, through 5 epic truths, I'm going to show you all a few tips and lessons that I've learned in my short career as a farmer and a natural gardener, so that this spring, which is coming around pretty quickly, although it doesn't feel like that today, you guys can go out and get your hands dirty and connect yourselves to your food. My first epic truth is to start small. When I first started farming, I started with a ½ acre located in Malacca, Minnesota on my grandpa's property. He had moved from North Dakota, and he asked, he heard about my passion for organic gardening. And he said that I could, till up as much as I wanted to, so I tilled up about a ½ acre. And when I was 15 years old, I was just applying compost and manures and, getting the soil ready. And over the course of 2 months, in my first year of farming, I completely burned myself out. And like a lot of first-time growers, we all want to do everything that we can our first year, and we want to do, this, that, and the other thing, and we completely just get overwhelmed. So I've found that the most perfect amount of land that you can have is about 500 square feet. Remember that it's not actually how much you're growing, but just the fact that you're doing something is important. Connecting yourself to your food is important. Now, the next epic truth is to just grow what you love. I see a lot of times people are growing things that they don't even like. So the most important question that you have to ask yourself is, what do I love to eat? What do I love cooking in my kitchen? Are you someone who loves a fresh salad with freshly picked greens? Or are you someone who absolutely, loves cooking and loves fresh herbs and things like this? Or are you that person who on a Friday night, you absolutely just love having a hamburger, and the thing that just ties it all together is that juicy, ripe, fresh-picked tomato? Remember that when you're growing, you have to grow things that you are going to love cooking in your kitchen. Now, my next epic truth is to cover your soil. I see in a lot of gardens, people don't cover their soil, and this is one of the most important things you can do. Covering your soil is like the skin on your body. When your skin feels good, you feel good. You feel nourished. And one thing I like to tell people is that I don't farm produce. I actually farm soil, and I farm worms. I farm the soil, and I build my soil, and just fresh produce is just sort of a byproduct. I've personally found that leaf mulch is my favorite mulch. It breaks down quickly, it holds on to nutrients well, and it's just such a great mulch to use. And one thing I've also found is that wood chips are an awesome mulch. They can be a bit expensive if you're buying them, but if you connect to your community, find different tree trimmers who are willing to give them for free or at a low cost, they can be an awesome mulch for you. The best way that I've found to apply wood chips is to put down a layer of newspaper and get that newspaper wet, and that'll actually smother out any of the weeds and the grass in your yard. And then put down a layer of compost. Now this compost is going to be the basis of your soil. And then put down your wood chips, and these wood chips are going to smother out any other weeds, any other things that might pop up in your garden. And then put down a little bit of manure, and this manure is going to give you a lot of nutrients and just kind of kickstart all the decomposition process. And one thing about manure is, though, you need to pick well composted manure. If you take any fresh manure, that might actually burn your plants. So it's important to get well composted manure, well aged manure. Now my next epic truth is to create habitats for beneficial insects. We've all been kind of taught in this country that bugs really don't have a place in our gardens. That just isn't true. What you want to do is you want to create the habitat for the right bugs to come into your garden and actually protect your hard work and all of your different produce. One of my favorite insects is the aphid wasp. The aphid wasp is such a warrior when it comes to your garden. These guys, they're going to take care of any soft-bodied insects, aphids obviously, caterpillars, just things like that. These guys are powerhouses when it comes to taking care of any pests in your garden. Now the next one is the solitary bee. The solitary bee, we've all heard that the honeybee is on the endangered species list, which is so sad now. But we can actually make a lot of difference just by creating the right habitat for these awesome insects. The solitary bee is an incredibly efficient and effective pollinator in our gardens, and it's something that is so important for us to have. And the last one is the ladybug. The ladybug, we all know the ladybug. We love the ladybug. It's a cute little insect. And these guys are powerhouses when it comes to taking down aphids. The aphid, or the ladybug, is able to eat nearly 5,000 aphids in its entire lifetime. So this is a very important insect that we all want in our gardens. Next. So to attract some of these insects, I like to use German chamomile, dill, and bolted radish. Now, chamomile it's a relative of the daisy, and we all love daisies, we all know daisies. Daisies are a beautiful plant. And I like to use chamomile because it's such a versatile plant. We all know the health benefits of drinking tea, and especially chamomile tea. The next is dill. Dill is such an important plant. I love growing dill in my garden because dill, it attracts so many aphid wasps. It attracts so many aphid wasps, it attracts so many beneficial insects. It's just an awesome thing to grow in your garden. And that goes for any herbs that you grow in your garden. If you're growing herbs, their awesome scent, their awesome fragrance is going to attract all of those beneficial insects to your garden. And next, bolted radish. Bolted radish is such an awesome plant. The term bolting comes from when your plants go to seed, and a lot of people don't like this because then your plant isn't usable anymore. But actually, it's just usable in a different way. It's usable because it's attracting different insects into your garden. I go out into my garden, I see my bolted radish. I only let maybe 5 plants go, but I've seen nearly 5 different species of bees on my bolted radish. So it's an incredible flower to have in your garden. Now the last one I want to grow, or I want to tell you guys about, is water and sun. Water and sun, they're very different, but very connected resources that we have at our disposal. I see a lot of first-time growers, they're overwatering their gardens. This is where mulch comes into play. Your mulch is going to absorb a lot of that water and it's going to store it. And then, say you go on a vacation, you can't water your garden for a couple of days. That mulch is going to release some of that stored water it has, which is awesome. That's why I love mulch. That's another reason I like to use mulch. And the ideal time to water your garden is in the morning. In the morning, it has time to dry off of the leaves. But in the midday, if you water in the midday, it can actually burn your leaves. So that's not a very good idea. And at the end of the day, everything gets a little bit cooler, everything is damp after you water, and that can just bring in a lot of disease. It'll bring in different funguses you don't want, bacteria you don't want. So it's important to water in the morning, and what I like to do, my preference is 15 to 20 minutes every other day. Sort of depends on what is going on in your garden. You gotta go out there, you gotta see, hey, is everything sopping wet right now? Well, I probably don't want to water. Is everything, dry as a desert? I probably want to water a little bit more. So these are just a couple different lessons that I found, a couple different tips and tricks that I found during my short time as a gardener. I do sell all of my produce. I sell everything at the Sauk Rapids Farmers Market, and now the Sartell Farmers Market is one I'm going to be going to. And then my microgreens are going to be available at Mixin' It Up Gluten-Free Bakery in Sauk Rapids. And then anybody who wants to privately order from me can do so on my Facebook. Just send me a message. All right, well, if you see me around, just, flag me down.
The thing that made me most excited to be here is I really have never done something like this before. And to be a part of something that is obviously changing the way we do business and changing the way, the workplace is, made, that's important for me. And since, Epic by Nature is all about innovating and doing things in a way that has never been done before, it made me excited to be around people who have the same mindset as me and want to do the same thing as me.